Hey movie junkies, welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we're here celebrating magic movies and physical media with you. So this is a review I've been anxious for. Dark Knight of the Scarecrow in 4K UHD. Now originally the film was conceived and shot for a theatrical release. However, for whatever reason, a decision was made to instead release it as a movie of the week on TV in 1981 on Halloween. And when I hear people talk about horror movies that traumatize kids in the 80s, I'm always surprised that this is never on the list. I still think this is one of the best go-to horror movies that's right up there with the best. Right up there with Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. It's right up there, but yet again, I never hear it discussed when people talk about 80s horror movies. Because this movie was heavily promoted, again, as made-for-TV movie of the week. I believe it was on NBC. So parents thought, well, how bad can this really be? Remember, this was back in the early 80s where Hollywood was not afraid to show blood. People getting straight up, violently, gruesomely murdered, including kids being endangered or killed, even for a TV movie. Now, I honestly don't know how much this was censored from its theatrical cut when aired, but I still remember it just firmly implanted in my brain. And as a 4-year-old at the time who obviously couldn't comprehend what I was seeing or feeling, it was pretty traumatizing for sure when I first saw it. Now, VCI first released this horror gem on Blu-ray in 2011 with a 2K scan. That was definitely the best the film has ever looked. But it's also a 13-year-old transfer in 2K. Now we have Dark Knight the Scarecrow in 4K UHD with a new 4K scan from the original camera negative. Now the scan that VCI acquired was not graded for HDR, so this is only in SDR. So let's take a closer look at Dark Knight the Scarecrow in 4K UHD against the previous released Blu-ray and see if this 4K is really worth the upgrade. Now, at first glance, this may not be a major night and day difference. However, there are some very notable improvements, along with some color accuracy. First off, the 4K image looks warmer than it does on the Blu-ray, but it's also slightly darker than the Blu-ray. But when I compared the 4K to the Blu-ray, the slightly darker image on the 4K definitely works better for this type of movie. It definitely has a better atmosphere to it that better matches the tone of the film than the Blu-ray did. As for the color reproduction, it is excellent, and there are areas of accurately displayed colors here. The most obvious is here. Take a look at these shots with the skyline in the background. The Blu-ray is completely blown out with white sky. The 4K has a nice deep blue sky, but also there's some nice separation between the blue sky and the clouds that the Blu-ray just didn't have because the whole thing was just blown out. Primary colors such as reds, yellows, blues, and greens all carry a lot of nice pop that looks more lifelike. Fire from the house explosion, while isn't drastically different, the orange-yellow fireball does look deeper and more active, along with some separation between the fire and the black smoke. The fire also has a tighter, slight glow to it than the Blu-ray does. The black levels on the Blu-ray I noticed had some very heavy crushing out of details at times and also some weak shadows. This right here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. On the Blu-ray, the handle of the shovel is completely crushed out. However, on the 4K, you can clearly see the handle of the shovel now because it's not crushed out. Now we not only have no crush in the blacks, but also black levels look deep, inky, and truer looking, along with some nice, outstanding shadows that gives the image more depth and also draws out more information in the image than what we had on the Blu-ray. It just looks fantastic. Saturation is slightly increased, giving some nice life and punch into the image that really helps with skin tones especially, but also with sunsets where the wheat fields are bathed in a really nice warm golden look. And contrast is dialed in just right that helps with daylight scenes looking more naturally bright, unlike the Blu-ray where it constantly looked overly bright or blown out, but it also helps with night and darkly lit scenes as well. Now, as far as the image quality, it looks outstanding here. But first you have to remember, going into this, you have to keep in mind this is an independently shot film. And due to the budget constraints, there are some very soft shots and anomalies that are just baked into the negative that is just inherited onto this transfer. So no, this is not a bad 4K transfer as I've heard some say. It's just inherited from the negative. The image is as sharp and clear as it can be. Close-ups are outstanding. We can see all the dried on dust, dirt, blood, even beads of sweat on faces. Wide shots of the countryside from the wheat fields and farmlands is just littered with details. Even down to dirt and gravel is more noticeable. Even down to rust on the beat-up trucks looks more defined. Close-ups of the burlap sack mask of the Scarecrow, you can make out every imperfection, every seam, every little minute hole in it. It's really outstanding considering the source material of this film. The 4K just really showcases the production design and cinematography in full. I was really impressed here. The bitrate ranges from the high 60s to the mid 80s Mbps. And the grain structure also looks much better here on the 4K than it did on the Blu-ray. There's a really nice fine layer of 35mm grain field that looks natural, giving a beautiful cinematic appearance. Alright guys, so I'm going to give Dark Knight the Scarecrow from VCI on 4K UHD a 5 out of 5. This is definitely a very impressive 4K UHD that was definitely worth the wait. But now head over to the comment section and let me know, because hey, I care. When you look at the differences here between the previous released Blu-ray and this new 4K UHD, which do you like better? Head over to the comment section and let me know. Alright guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes here as we talk about Dark Knight of the Scarecrow in 4K UHD and compare it to the previous release Blu-ray. And you can buy this at mvdshop.com, which I highly recommend so you can support this boutique studio, VCI and MVD. If not, you can pick it up on Amazon or wherever you buy your physical media from. Keep physical media alive, and we'll see you next time with another 4K versus Blu-ray comparison.